Every civilization that has ever risen on this earth, every empire, every priesthood, every institution of learning has handed you a version of the ancient story. And in almost every version, a critical chapter has been removed. Not lost, not misplaced, removed. You have been told that in the beginning there were angels, celestial beings of light and fire, servants of the Most High, eternal and obedient. You have been told that one fell, one prideful being who desired the throne of the eternal and was cast downward like lightning. One. But the scrolls, the ones they did not burn, the ones that were sewn into the lining of leather pouches and buried beneath the limestone cliffs of Qumran, the ones that Ethiopian priests have guarded for 2,000 years inside mountain monasteries, those scrolls tell a different story entirely. Not one fell, 200 fell, and they did not fall in defeat. They descended with intention. They descended with a plan, with names, with specific roles, and with a singular, catastrophic desire that would alter the biological composition of humanity, corrupt the ancient world beyond recovery, and, according to the oldest surviving manuscript traditions on Earth, trigger a divine response so total, so absolute, that it reshaped the surface of this planet and the spiritual architecture of all creation. You have heard of Noah's flood, but I promise you, by the time this scroll is fully unsealed before you today, you will understand that everything you were taught about why that flood came was only the surface. The real reason has been sitting in a text that predates the Gospel of Matthew, a text that was quoted by the Apostle Jude in your own Bible, a text that was carried into Ethiopia when Jerusalem fell, and that text has been waiting for this moment. And at the very end of what I am about to show you, I will reveal one detail, one single passage buried in the Dead Sea Scrolls that 99% of teachers, pastors, and scholars have never addressed publicly. A passage that changes not just what happened in the ancient world, but what it means for you, right now, in this age. Stay with me. In 1947, a Bedouin shepherd boy named Muhammad Ed-Dib threw a stone into a cave near the northwestern shore of the Dead Sea. And the sound that came back to him was not the echo of empty rock. It was the sound of clay shattering. Inside that cave, sealed in clay jars, wrapped in linen, preserved by the extraordinary dryness of the Judean desert for over 2,000 years, were scrolls, hundreds of them, the oldest surviving biblical manuscripts ever discovered, what the world would come to call the Dead Sea Scrolls. Among those scrolls was a text that the scholars cataloged quietly, a text that received far less media attention than the Isaiah scroll or the Temple scroll, a text that was studied, translated, and then largely set to one side. It was called the Book of Giants, and alongside it, already known to Ethiopian Christianity, but now confirmed in fragmentary form at Qumran, the text that the Apostle Jude cited directly in your New Testament was the Book of Enoch. Let me tell you who Enoch was, because the modern world has nearly erased him. Enoch was the seventh patriarch from Adam. The book of Genesis gives him the most extraordinary epitaph of any figure in Scripture. Not that he died, not that he was buried, but that he walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. 7 generations from the beginning of humanity, and this man was so aligned with the eternal that death itself was suspended for him. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church never lost his writings. The Giz canon, the scriptural tradition of one of the oldest continuously practicing Christian communities on earth, preserved the complete Book of Enoch for millennia, while the Western Church quietly removed it from the biblical canon in the 4th century. Why was it removed? We will return to that question. But first, what did Enoch actually witness? What did he write?
In the Book of Enoch, chapter 6, confirmed now in the Dead Sea Scrolls fragments from Cave 4 at Qumran, the account begins with precise, almost forensic language. This is not myth. This is not allegory. This reads like a report. The beings described are called Ha'irin in Hebrew, the Watchers. They were not ordinary angelic servants. In the ancient cosmological understanding, the Watchers were a specific order of celestial beings, described in the Book of Daniel as divine sentinels, eternal observers. Their purpose was to watch over creation, to be witnesses of the Eternal's handiwork. But something happened.
Enoch writes that the Watchers looked down from their station, and they saw the daughters of men, and the desire that arose within them was not metaphorical. It was visceral, it was consuming, and it was, according to the text, a collective decision. This is where the account becomes extraordinary. Their leader, and Enoch gives us his name with complete specificity, was Semyaza. And Semyaza said to his companions, essentially, I fear that perhaps you will not actually go through with this act, and I alone will bear the weight of this great transgression. Read that again, slowly. Their leader was afraid they would lose their nerve. He was afraid he would be alone in his rebellion. So the 200 Watchers did something that has no parallel in any other account of spiritual rebellion anywhere in the ancient literature. They swore an oath, together, collectively, on the summit of Mount Hermon. The very name of the mountain encodes what happened there. In Hebrew, Hermon derives from the root karam, a word that carries the meaning of something irrevocably devoted, set apart, consecrated, but in the dark direction, set apart for judgment, set apart for destruction. The mountain where they swore their oath of descent is a mountain whose very name means the place of the curse. Enoch preserves not just the event, but the names of the 20 leaders among the 200, each name corresponding to a specific domain of forbidden knowledge they would bring down with them. Semyaza led them, but among the named leaders were Azazel, who would teach men the art of war, the crafting of swords and shields and breastplates, and who would teach women the art of adornment and seduction through cosmetics and jewelry. Armoros, who taught the resolving of enchantments. Barakel, who taught astrology. Kokabel, who taught the knowledge of the constellations. Damiel, who taught astronomy. Azazel, who taught the motion of the moon. Notice something profound in this list. These are not teachings of pure evil in the conventional sense. Astrology, metallurgy, astronomy, the understanding of natural forces. What the Watchers brought was premature knowledge, the acceleration of human civilization beyond its intended pace of development, given to beings who were not yet spiritually, morally, or cosmologically prepared to hold it. And here, precisely here, is where the ancient text and modern archaeology enter into a conversation that neither field has been bold enough to fully have. Göbekli Tepe, located in southeastern Turkey, in the ancient region scholars call the Fertile Crescent. A temple complex of staggering sophistication, constructed by people who, according to conventional archaeology, should not have possessed the organizational capacity, the astronomical knowledge, or the architectural engineering to build it. It predates Stonehenge by 6,000 years. It predates the Egyptian pyramids by 7,000 years. And it sits, geographically, within the precise ancient region where the Watchers are said to have descended, within the ancient land corridors that lead directly to Mount Hermon. I am not telling you that supernatural beings built Göbekli Tepe. I am telling you to ask the question that no one in the mainstream conversation is asking. Why does the explosion of human civilizational complexity align so precisely, geographically and temporally, with the region and the era described in the oldest manuscripts on Earth as the location of the Watchers' descent? The scrolls are not mythology. They are memory. And then came the children. Because the descent of the Watchers was not merely an exchange of knowledge, it was a biological transgression of the most profound order. The unions between the Watchers and the daughters of men produced offspring, and those offspring are described in the Book of Enoch with a term that resounds through the oldest traditions of the ancient world: the Nephilim. From the Hebrew root naphal, to fall, the fallen ones. Or, as some ancient traditions render it, those who were cast down, or those who cause others to fall. The Book of Enoch describes them as giants, but the Hebrew and Aramaic texts are more specific than the English translation suggests. They were beings of immense physical stature, yes, but they were also beings of consuming, insatiable appetite. Beings who devoured the resources of men, and when the resources of men were exhausted, turned upon humanity itself. The earth, according to Enoch, became a place of blood, of unceasing violence, of a corruption so total that it reached upward, it resonated upward into the heavens themselves, like a wound that would not close. And the Eternal heard it. I want you to pause with me here for a moment. Not as a student of ancient texts, not as a viewer watching a documentary, but as a soul.
Because what we are really talking about, beneath the names and the manuscripts and the archaeology, is a question that every human being who has ever drawn breath has had to face. What happens when the boundaries set by the Creator are deliberately, collectively, willfully crossed? The Watchers were not ignorant, not deceived, not corrupted by slow degrees, the way you and I might gradually drift from what we know to be true. They gathered, they deliberated, they swore an oath. They descended knowing what they were doing and choosing it anyway. And I want to ask you something. How far is that really from the choices that civilizations make today? When a generation collectively decides to abandon a sacred threshold, not in ignorance, but in full awareness. When the knowledge given to heal is redirected to destroy. When the capacity to create is turned toward corruption. Is the mechanism not exactly the same? The Watchers did not introduce evil into a pure world by force. They introduced it through consent, through knowledge misapplied, through desire that overrode divine order. And the world that resulted, the world of the Nephilim, the world of blood and consuming violence, did not announce itself all at once. It built, it accumulated, it normalized. Enoch was a witness to all of it. Think about what that means for a moment. This man, this seventh patriarch, this walker with God, lived through the entire descent. He watched his world transform. He watched the corruption spread. And the most extraordinary aspect of his account is not the supernatural detail. It is the emotional coherence of what he describes. He describes grief. Not just divine judgment, grief. A world that was meant to be one thing, becoming irrevocably another. Potential that was sacred, weaponized. A creation that the Eternal looked upon and found beautiful, now filled with the sounds of suffering that rose like smoke. Does that sound familiar to you? Because I believe, and this is the deepest current running beneath all of these ancient texts, that the reason the Book of Enoch was preserved so carefully, passed from hand to hand through centuries of persecution and empire, hidden in caves and stitched into monastery walls, is that it is not primarily a historical document. It is a mirror. It reflects back to every generation the anatomy of how worlds are lost, the precise mechanism by which the sacred is gradually, systematically, almost imperceptibly overwritten. And if it is a mirror, then it is also a warning. Noah found grace in the eyes of the Eternal. The Hebrew word used in Genesis is chen, grace, favor, and unearned, freely given shelter in the storm of divine response to a world that had broken itself. And in the midst of a civilization that had been fundamentally corrupted, not by external invasion, but by an internal willingness to transgress every sacred boundary, one family was found. Found whole, found aligned, found walking in the ancient path. The flood was not merely a judgment on a wicked world. It was the eternal pressing the reset, the cosmic clearing of a biological and spiritual corruption that had penetrated so deeply into the fabric of creation that there was no surgical remedy. But even then, even in the totality of that response, grace was the operative principle. And if you are watching this today, if these words are finding you in whatever season of life you currently inhabit, whether it is a season of clarity or a season where you feel you have descended further than you intended, I want you to hear this. The same Eternal who looked at a world drowned in the consequences of the Watcher's transgression and still found one family worth saving is looking still. The capacity for grace has not diminished. The scrolls are not here to condemn you. They are here to locate you, to give you the coordinates of where you actually stand in the long story of creation, so that you can choose with full knowledge which direction to walk.
Now we go where almost no one goes. I told you at the beginning of this scroll that there is a detail confirmed in the Dead Sea Scrolls, present in the complete Ethiopic text of Enoch, corroborated in the fragmentary Aramaic texts of Qumran, that 99% of the discussions you will ever find about this topic simply do not address. Here it is. When the divine response to the Watcher's transgression was finally issued, 4 archangels were dispatched. Their names, preserved in the Book of Enoch with complete specificity, were Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel, and Michael. Each was given a distinct assignment, and the assignment given to Raphael has been passed over with almost criminal brevity in every popular treatment of this material. Raphael was told to bind Azazel hand and foot, to cast him into darkness, to cover him with rough and jagged rocks in a place called Dudael, a desolate desert wasteland, and to leave him there, bound in the darkness, until the day of judgment. But here is what you have not been told. The text continues. Raphael is instructed that the binding of Azazel serves a specific cosmic purpose, and the language used is extraordinary. It reads in the Ethiopic text preserved by the Ethiopian Orthodox tradition, "The whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin." All sin. Not some, not a portion, not the sins of war and vanity specifically, which were his particular domain of corruption. All sin. The theological implication of that phrase has been almost entirely suppressed in mainstream biblical scholarship, and I want you to understand why, because it matters immensely. In the Book of Leviticus, in the heart of the Torah, in the sacred ritual of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, there is a ceremony involving 2 goats. One goat is sacrificed to the Eternal. The other, and the Hebrew text names its destination with stunning precision, is sent into the wilderness for Azazel. For centuries, mainstream scholarship translated Azazel in Leviticus as the scapegoat, as though it were simply a description of a function, a grammatical convenience. But the Dead Sea Scrolls changed everything. Because in the Qumran community's own liturgical texts, in documents like the Songs of the Sabbath Sacrifice and the fragmentary Book of Giants found in Cave 1, Azazel was treated not as a function, not as a metaphor, but as a proper name, a specific entity, a bound, imprisoned watcher awaiting final judgment. The Yom Kippur ritual was not symbolic theater, it was a cosmic reenactment. Every year, on the holiest day in the Hebrew calendar, the high priest of Israel was performing a ritual that encoded the memory of the watcher's transgression, and specifically of Azazel's binding into the liturgical DNA of an entire civilization. The corruption was real, the binding was real, and the annual remembrance of it was real. The ancient world did not forget what happened on Mount Hermon. They ritualized it. They carried the memory forward in ceremony, so that even when the texts were lost or suppressed, the act of remembrance would persist. And there is one more layer, one more fold in the scroll that I must show you before we reach the threshold of resolution. In 1 Enoch chapter 10, in the specific mandate given to the archangel Michael regarding the leader of the Watchers, Semyaza, there is a detail about the fate of the Nephilim, the hybrid children of the fallen Watchers, that reframes everything. The Nephilim, the text says, will destroy each other. They were given to violence as their fundamental nature, and that violence would ultimately turn inward, consuming itself. But their spirits, the spirits of the Nephilim after their physical deaths, would not be permitted to rest. They would wander. The Ethiopic text, corroborated in the Aramaic fragments from Qumran, describes the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim as evil spirits upon the earth, condemned to roam without a body, without a resting place, without belonging to either the celestial realm or the mortal realm, existing in the threshold space between. The ancient world did not use the modern word demon. They described with forensic precision a specific category of disembodied being, the remnant consciousness of hybrid transgressive entities, and they understood these beings not as abstractions of evil, but as the specific consequence of a specific cosmic event. What you call demonic oppression, the ancient world called Nephilim spirits. And the Book of Enoch, the Book of Giants from the Dead Sea Scrolls, is the only surviving document in human history that tells you with absolute clarity where they came from, why they exist, and how the Eternal has already legislated their ultimate end. The scroll does not leave the story in darkness. It never does. We began this scroll with a mystery. 200 beings of celestial fire, descending with intention onto the summit of a mountain, whose very name encoded their judgment. A sworn oath in the darkness, the corruption of a world, the flood that followed. But here, at the threshold of conclusion, I want to bring you back to the question I placed before you at the beginning.
I told you that the real reason for the flood had been kept from you, that it was more than wickedness in the general sense, that the scrolls pointed to something deeper, more specific, more architecturally significant than the Sunday school version of the story. Here is the resolution.
The flood came because the image of God in humanity was being systematically erased. That is the core of what the Watcher's transgression accomplished. Not merely the introduction of violence or forbidden knowledge, though both of those things are true. The deeper catastrophe was biological and spiritual simultaneously. The sacred template of the human being, the Tselem Elohim, the image of the eternal imprinted into mortal flesh at the moment of creation, was being diluted, hybridized, overwritten. The Nephilim were not merely large or violent. They were beings in whom the divine image had been fractured, half celestial in the wrong direction, half human, but no longer capable of carrying the full resonance of what humanity was designed to be. And as they multiplied and spread, the percentage of humanity that still carried the intact, uncorrupted divine template shrank, until there was one family left. And the language Genesis uses to describe Noah is not merely moral language. The Hebrew text says Noah was tamim, complete, whole, without blemish in his generations, his lineage, his biological heritage. The flood was the Eternal's act of preserving the image of God in the earth. It was not primarily an act of wrath. It was an act of preservation.
And now, I want to speak to you directly, because here is what the unsealing of this scroll ultimately means. Not as history, not as theology, but as a living reality for a human being navigating this present moment of the world's story. You carry that image. Whatever corruption has touched the world around you, and I do not need to list it, because you can feel it. You have always been able to feel it, the way certain things in the modern age produce in the depths of your soul a resonance of wrongness that no amount of cultural normalization can fully silence. That instinct is not neurosis. That instinct is the Tselem Elohim in you, still intact, still functioning, still recognizing the difference between what was intended and what has been imposed. The Watchers fell because they abandoned their station, because they looked downward when they were called to look upward, because they confused the temporary beauty of the mortal world for something worth surrendering their eternal purpose to obtain. And the question that the Book of Enoch is ultimately, quietly, persistently asking across the millennia, across the Dead Sea caves and the Ethiopian highlands and the suppressed councils of the early church, is not what did they do? The question is, what will you do? You are standing at your own threshold. You have your own station. You have been given your own sacred assignment in this precise, unrepeatable moment of history. And the same forces that whispered to the Watchers on the heights of Hermon, the same suggestion that the sacred boundary is a limitation rather than a protection, that the transgression will be worth it, that others are doing it so the weight will be shared, those forces have not retired. They are not less active. They are less visible.
But the Eternal, who dispatched Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel, and Michael, with specific names and specific assignments into the chaos of that primordial calamity, the Eternal who found Noah, who preserved the image, who sealed the watchers in darkness, and legislated the end of the Nephilim spirits, that Eternal has not changed posture. The surveillance has not dimmed. The grace has not expired. The capacity to find one soul walking in alignment, tamim, whole, complete, pressing forward in the ancient path, and to shelter that soul against every dimension of the coming storm. That capacity is not diminished by the passage of years or the accumulation of civilizational corruption. If anything, and the scroll of Enoch whispers this in its very final chapters, the approach of the day of judgment that the bound watchers await in their darkness is not a threat to the one who has chosen to walk uprightly. It is a promise. The stone that sealed Azazel in Dudael will be lifted. The watchers will stand before the throne. Every corrupted knowledge and transgressed boundary will be accounted for in full. And the image of God, that ancient, primordial, indestructible template impressed into human beings at the first dawn of creation, will be fully, finally, eternally vindicated. That is what the scrolls say. That is what they have always said. And now, you know. The scroll is sealed again, until the next unsealing. Walk carefully. Walk with knowledge. Walk